What's up, everybody? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. For this Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, I am your host, Russ Williams. I'm so glad you could make it here today. I'm quite aware, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, I'm quite aware you could have been anywhere in this world today. I know you could have been anywhere in this world today, but you decided to be here with me. And I appreciate that. And more importantly, I appreciate you. So welcome to Transition Tuesdays, my friends. You've made it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have an action-packed show once again. But before I start the show, I always love to state my intentions. And my intention is to give you the opportunity to laugh, smile, think, and engage in honest conversations about your life's transition. So that's what we do here on Transition Tuesdays. So welcome, welcome, welcome on this 10th day of October, 1010. If people here in New York, they're familiar with the station 1010 Wins. So today, your 1010 wins, I hope. And happy World Mental Health Day to each and every one of you out there. Hopefully, everybody's in a great space, in a great place in their mental health. So, shout out to you guys for coming here today and being a part of the process and being a part of this whole process. I'd like to thank you guys for being here today, each and every Tuesday, like you do on Transition Tuesdays. I appreciate you guys to the utmost. I really do. I really do. I really do. So, let's get after it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get after it. So, couple of things. First, I want to talk about and transition, but before we do that, on the check-in, we got Felicia calling in from The Rock. What's going on, Felicia? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As Felicia, as we all know, she works hard, and she is still in the office. Hey, Felicia, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you for joining us. I know you're still in the office. We won't keep you long, and I'm not going to keep everybody else long today. But, hey, I'm glad you made it, Felicia. I'm glad you made it. Everybody else out there, I'm glad you made it as well. Man. So let's talk about what's going on, man, in this world news. Is Israel is at war with Hamas, man. Let's talk about that. Man, what's going on there? It's kind of crazy. So Israel has declared war on the Palestinian militant group Hamas after it's carried out an unprecedented attack by air, sea, and land on Saturday. So this has been taking place since Saturday. What actually happened during this process was militants from Gaza fired thousands of rockets towards Israel's towns on Saturday morning before breaking through the heavy fortified border fences with Israel and sending militants deep into the Israeli territory. There, Hamas gunmen killed thousands of people, including civilians and soldiers, and took hostages sometimes from their homes. So, man, this is crazy. This is what's going on, man. This is worldwide news, man. So, I looked it up and I want to know, what exactly is Hamas? What's going on with this? Because I'm not too familiar with this, with this fighting in the Middle East. So I looked it up and I want to know, and I want to get a good definition of what exactly is Hamas. So Hamas, if you guys don't know out there, Hamas is the Islamic organization with a military wing that came into being in 1987. See, I graduated from high school. It emerging out of a Muslim brotherhood. It was founded in the late 1920s in Egypt. The group, like most Palestinian factors and political parties, insists that Israel is an accompanying power and that it is trying to liberate the Palestinian territories. It considers Israel an illegitimate state and has called for its downfall. Now, Hamas refuses to engage with Israel, and in 1993, it opposed the peace pact between Israel and the Palestinian Liberation Organization, which is known as PLO, and saw that PLO gave up armed resistance against Israel in return for promises of an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel. So that is the definition of what is Hamas, right? So I know you might be wondering out there, everybody, Transition Army, like what's going to happen next? What exactly was going to happen next? Man, so says Israel is now on a footing and has already started mobilizing troops for a potential group operation in Gaza. It has said that it will exact a heavy price on Hamas for its attack and plans to retrieve Israeli hostages from the territory. Okay, so now I know. I believe President Biden today had two press conferences, and he talked about how he has addressed the fighting between Israel and Hamas that has continued for the fourth day straight since the Islamic militant group carried out one of the deadliest terror attacks in Israeli history. I know President Biden, he stands with Israel and he's calling Hamas, the attacks, unadulterated evil. This is what our President of the United States is calling for. I know Hamas has taken a couple of hostages, American hostages. So I think everybody is waiting abruptly, really waiting to see what is going to be done. Is Biden going to do something about that as well? So we have to stay tuned with that. And at least 900 people are dead in Israel. Tel Aviv has reported with an overwhelming number of airstrikes on Gaza, leaving at least 830 people dead there and displacing more than 137,000 people. Man, so this has been a tough situation. Man, again, I'm not too familiar, with the dealings in the Middle East. So, I can't really comment on these things. It seems so unfortunate about this militia group. Hamas is doing what it's doing, and I see on TV right now. At least see a lot of people are giving blood, to help out people and assisting in one another. Seems like everybody's banding together in Israel too. And, so I'm not too familiar with the case, but one thing I can say is I'm always on the side and the caution of peace. And I know for me personally, peace is a good thing. When you have peace, you're in peace and you're in a good place. So, I don't know too much of the particulars of what's going on here, but I would comment that I stand on the side of peace here in these fightings here in the Middle East. So I guess we just have to stay tuned and keep watching, because I know some of us out there might have relatives in Israel, might have brothers, sisters, families in Israel, friends. So, we just have to see how this unfolds, man. And I'm looking right now, it says 14 Americans confirmed killed in Hamas attacks in Israel. So 14 Americans passed because of this, about the Hamas attack. So be really interesting to see what the United States does, because, as we know, the world is watching this. So be really interesting to see what happens in this situation. We really be interesting to see what happens in this situation. So we'll have to stay tuned and, keep our prayers up for, for those loved ones or people you might know, or just the people of Israel. Maybe hoping that, they pull through in these trying times. Yeah. Yeah, so, we pray for that. And again, I stay on the side of peace. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, here's another story. I'm not sure if anybody saw this piece this past weekend, but talked about how super agent, man, Rich Paul was on 60 Minutes. Man, what a thrill. I think personally to be on 60 Minutes and this young man's journey, which I know his book comes out, and I see Rich Paul, the super agent, preferably in basketball, but he's really branching out. But, Rich Paul, man, it was great to see a person of his stature making it to 60 Minutes, having a memoir book, Lucky Me, which is a title from one of Jay-Z's songs. I think he's close with Jay-Z as well. He's known LeBron James for years. LeBron James helped him get his start. So I'm looking forward to reading this book. I'm I'm a fan of recent history, and this is kind of like recent history. Here's a guy who came out of nowhere, and small guy in stature, but this guy, packs a big punch. And he's that agent. He's the a couple of things about him. He's a premier agent in sports. He is the most premier agent in sports. Doing away with the days of the Drew Rosenhausers and everything. This guy has surpassed this guy like that. His agency, Clutch Sports, has made deals over $900 million for his NBA clients. $900 million for his NBA clients. He has a list of clients in the NFL as well. But man, I'm telling you, this guy, man, is going to be something to reckon with. And again, I've seen him making the rounds from Breakfast Club to I saw him on Rock the Bells with Roxanne Shante. I saw him on the Today Show, not the Today Show, pardon me, the CBS Morning News. I saw him there. And also saw him on 60 Minutes. What an extraordinary piece. Man, this kid has come from the rubbles, to be that guy. And I love listening to his story, saying how, you couldn't tell him that he wasn't going to make the NBA. The guy's like 5'9", but you couldn't tell him that. But he had a plan B, and he comes from that hustles mentality. He told, he's kind of like a professional dice roller. He rolled the dice on the streets of Cleveland, from the heart of the streets of Cleveland, which Cleveland is, ain't no joke out there. So here's a guy, I heard him share a story about how, he rolled dice and, on a bad day, it was like $1,000 that day. You know what I mean? That was a bad day, but he became very good at it, So he kind of took like all the stuff he learned, on the streets, because like he said, he didn't go to Harvard or Yale or anything like that. The streets was his lessons, the school of hard knocks and his streets. That's how he applies what he does now to what he did back then. How the streets raised him, how the relationships he's garnered raised him, and that created him to be the premier agent in sports today. This guy has no nonsense approach. He seems like he cares for his clients. And I heard Draymond Green talk about him, how this guy, school is in session when this guy talks, because he is for the athlete. He is there, he works for the athlete. It's not the athlete works for him. He works for the athlete to get them in the best deals possible. So, all of this, and I think a lot of this is entailed in his book, which I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing. I get audio books, so I kind of cheat a little bit, but I like the audio books, and I can't wait to to hear this book. Lucky me on that. And something he talked about, which is pretty fitting here on Transition Tuesdays. He talked about how he has evolved, how he has matured. The guy's only 42 years old, but he talked about how he has evolved from like the streets to what he's doing now with relationships. He's matured as an individual at 42 years young. And the most important thing that he said during that 60 Minutes interview was, I have transitioned. And that's what it is. And that's what we all talk about here, making the transition from what you were to who you are now. So here's a guy, and again, this is like a modern day story, for people to emulate, young people out there, not just black and brown people, just anybody, seeing this guy's story, seeing this guy's grind, and seeing how he was able to make the transition. The transition from that kid who he swore he was going to make it, as a basketball player, who was selling like throwback jerseys, that's how he got in contact with LeBron James. LeBron James saw a throwback jersey. They struck up a conversation. Then after that, years went by. Next thing you know, he's representing LeBron James and creating contracts for him. That is a powerful transition that this young man has. And he continues to do, to be the number one cat in the game, in the agent game. And, so I just wanted to bring that up here on Transition Tuesdays, how a young people like this and a young king like this is making the transition to become great to what he's doing and continues to do it. He also talked about how he's in, and if you guys didn't know, he's in a relationship with Adele, the singer, the Grammy Award singer. he's in a relationship with her. He's been very coy with that because I've seen Adele has mentioned him as, Rich, my husband and stuff like that. So, he doesn't, he says he keeps his private life private. And he said he's in a great place. He's in a great space with Adele, not giving up much. You know what I mean? So, that's a great thing. But, he talks about how he was a professional hustler, and I love the term that he said, he just says, people are hustling like the people that who's the guy? The guy's escaping me right now. The guy who made Tesla. He says, he's a hustler too as well. He just did it in a different way, whereas he has hustled all his life, And the great thing I liked about that interview was, even though Rich Paul is very successful in what he does as a super agent, he still out here has to prove himself on a daily basis. Again, because some people might have think it was luck. Some people might have think he was too young. Some people think he might have got all this success because he's great friends with LeBron James. But no, he doesn't rest on his laurels. He goes out there and he has to prove it each and every day that, hey, look, this is no fluke. My company is big, and he has to keep doing it day in and day out. So you gotta applaud a guy like that. And speaking of applause, I got my guy Cliff on the check-in. What's going on, Cliff? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays, my friend. Welcome. So yeah, if you guys didn't get a chance to catch that particular interview with Rich Paul, super agent now. He's a super agent. So super agent Rich Paul, check that out, man. It was really great. You won't be disappointed. Again, I look forward to getting the book. Lucky me. Man, I can't wait to see and hear that and read the book, because it seems like this book is like, you don't have to be a sports fan. It's not really sports based, but again, it looks like he's giving jewels on success and how to prime yourself with success, how to be positive, how to stay positive. Not where you start is where you finish. I think that's key to know about Rich Paul and his story. He started in the slums of Cleveland, but look where he is now. So it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. As Rakim, the great Rakim God, rap God, has said, it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. So again, your start could be different than your finish, So again, if you haven't seen that interview, check that out on 60 Minutes. Rich Paul, man, I can't wait to get the book. And you probably should get the book too. I recommend, okay? I recommend this. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, if we were able to make you laugh, smile, and think during this broadcast, my good friends, you have accomplished something major today. So celebrate your victory. Celebrate your victory. Just celebrate it, So let's celebrate. Let's celebrate our victories, guys. Because victories don't, come far and few come between, It's important to celebrate the victories, I didn't give you guys your hand claps for being here. That's a victory, okay? That's a victory for you joining us here today, for you making it here today. That's your victory. Celebrate and continue to celebrate your small victories, okay? Big or small, celebrate them. Theme music, please. Here we go. All right, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you watching Transition Tuesdays each and every Tuesday. I appreciate you guys, okay? Thank you for joining us. Man, I really do appreciate you guys. Man, if you haven't seen this, you can see this episode and our past episodes on our YouTube channel, Transition Tuesdays. So check us out there, all right? Please do, okay? And before you leave the channel, please make sure you like and subscribe, okay? You can follow me on Instagram at Russ Will Transitions. That's Russ Will Transitions with an S. If you follow me, I'll follow you back, okay? I'm going to give a major shout out to our corporate sponsor, Sweet Candy Cafe, home of Southern Sweetness in downtown Lumberton, North Carolina. So before the show ends, make sure you go to sweetcandycafe.com for your confectionery goodies, okay? And I'll pull it out again, okay? See this candy right here? Okay? These are Felicia's freeze-dried favorites, okay? Freeze-dried freeze-dried Skittles. Okay, I'm gonna open up again. I'm gonna have you taste one. Now this, okay, I'm gonna give you guys a little tip. This candy right here, which can be found at Sweet Candy Cafe, is sweeping the country. Let me tell you why. Let me taste. Oh. Oh man, this is good. Oh, if you want your taste buds to smile, you better head to Sweet Candy Cafe after we done here. Okay? Make sure you go to sweetcandycafe.com. All right? Make sure you do that. What we got before we head off? Cliff says, "Chew, the small ones make big ones." Absolutely. These are the victories you're talking about, right, Cliff? We on the same page. That's right. Celebrate them. The big ones become small. The small ones become big ones. And then next thing you know, you're celebrating all these victories. So make sure you do that. Appreciate you, Cliff. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, as we said, party, happy transitioning, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. God bless.